presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are St. Louis.
Welcome to St. Louis Cardinal Baseball on Fox Sports Midwest from downtown St. Louis. A very toasty afternoon in the Gateway City. The Phillies are in town. Game one of a four-game series begins here tonight. Cardinals coming off a sweep of the Padres. David Freese and Carlos Beltran each homered in the finale. The Cardinals have shown a lot of pop in 2012. Glad you're with us. Rick Horton with Al Roboski. And Al, the Cardinals coming off a very good series here at home against the Padres.
Well, no doubt about it. They had some timely hitting. They had good pitching. How about the shutout by Wainwright? But I think the one thing we don't talk enough about is they played 3 errorless games. They are 21-9 when they play errorless baseball.
All about pitching and defense. We got a lot of pitching here for this series. We'll take a look at our starting pitchers, Blanton and Westbrook, when we come back.
For Philadelphia, he throws right over the top. One of the things all Phillies pitchers try to do is they try to get ahead, and then they try to get you to expand your zone and get yourself out. Joe Blanton did give up 4 home runs his last start. Jake Westbrook on the other side. He also must keep the ball down. The real key for him is keeping the ball down, getting the ground balls. Both of these pitchers are veterans. They learned in the American League, and both of them have had success against each other.
Blanton and Westbrook, the starters. Cardinal fans filing in. They're happy the Redbirds are back to their winning ways. We'll have more baseball right around the corner.
See better plays made here by the fans than anywhere.
That was a nice effort.
Good effort.
That is top notch, my friend.
He's going to be pumped up tonight.
There's no doubt about that.
Congratulations.
A souvenir for the fan.
That's a mammoth pop-up. Let's hope that gentleman is okay. He's got ice on his eye. That's a gamer.
How about that? And that one is hammered into left center, and the Reds have gone back to back.
And this guy, Caleb Lloyd, had one special trip to Great American Ballpark.
Came to a Reds game, and it's probably the best day of my life.
Right of the forehead.
For tonight, the Cardinals haven't seen any divisional opponents in a while. So let's take a look at what's been happening inside the Central. The Cubs have lost 9 straight games and had gone 59 straight innings without a lead until yesterday. Offense has been hard to come by other than Brian LaHare. Rebuilding project continues for manager Dale Swain. The Reds have won 5 straight and are 1 game behind the Cardinals. All the pitchers have been good, but Chapman has been unhittable. He has still not given up an earned run and is now closing games. The Astros are somehow just 2 games below 500. The big reason, Bud Norris. He's won 4 straight, 3 of which have been against teams not named the Cardinals. Brett Myers has been great in closing games. The Brewers have lost 7 of their last 10. Other than Zach Greinke, the pitching staff is struggling. The team is hitting without Prince Fielder. It just hasn't been enough. And the Pirates are 4 games below 500 thanks to a very good pitching staff from top to bottom and Andrew McCutchen, who was quiet in April but has exploded here in May. There's a look at the Central. Still plenty of baseball left in the season, and the Cardinals are focused on the Phillies tonight. First pitch coming up on Fox Sports Midwest. Cardinals have taken the field, hosting the Philadelphia Phillies. They won the World Series in 2008. Here's the Phillies batting order for Game 1. Jimmy Rollins, the veteran shortstop, leads it off. Placido Polanco is a former Cardinal. Hunter Pence bats third. Carlos Ruiz, very good season for him, catches and hits fourth. Shane Victorino, Ty Wigginton, John Mayberry, Freddie Galvis, and Joe Blanton is the Phillies batting order, and they will be facing Jake Westbrook, who's 4-3.
Well, Jake trying to win his 5th game. Good ERA, 241. When he keeps the ball down, gets those ground balls, everything goes well. When he has had trouble, it's when he elevates the ball, more fly balls. Ball had a tendency to leave the ballpark. And there's been a couple times, like his last start, didn't have the best defense behind him.
And here is the defense. Al, you said they played very well against the Padres, an errorless series. Holiday, Schumacher, and Beltran in the outfield. Freeze for call. Tyler Green playing much more regularly. Will play second base. Matt Adams, the first baseman. Molina and Westbrook, the battery. That's our Dobbs Cardinals defense. Charlie Manuel in his 8th year with the Philadelphia Phillies after 3 with the Cleveland Indians, and he became last year the all-time winningest manager in Philadelphia Phillies history, passing Gene Mott.
Well, we both have a relationship with Charlie, and what a great guy he is. And as the game goes along, I'll tell you a story that what he said to me last year in September in a crucial 4-game series, the Cardinals against Philadelphia.
And we will get to that story, but first, Our game's first pitch will be delivered by Jake Westbrook. And it's a fastball inside, ball one at 90 miles an hour. Rollins, Polanco, and Pence in the Phillies first.
Or those numbers just don't look like the Jimmy Rollins, former MVP. And he just returned to the ball club as he was on paternity leave, as his wife presented him with their first child.
Westbrook gets ahead of Rollins, 1-2. Rollins with just one home run, too. He's a guy that occasionally has power, Al, and he just has not had it. Really, this Phillies team has not shown a lot of power. Just 36 home runs as a team.
If he is going to hit a home run, it'll almost always be from the right side. Still remember a home run he hit off of Steve Klein that went in the upper deck at the old stadium.
Is that the one that Klein yelled at him as he ran around the bases? I remember
Steve
that
was
too.
very upset, and he thought that Jimmy had showed him up, and I had to tell him, nope, he didn't. And we showed him a replay, and he goes, yeah, I'm wrong. But it was a memorable home run.
Jake Westbrook has really found his control this year. It's been a key to his success working with Yadier Molina. Seems to be having a word with the home plate umpire Rob Drake.
This is Joe West's crew. I wouldn't recommend arguing with Joe, the crew chief.
The last time I said something about Joe, you got me in trouble with him because you told him what I said. So I'm going to be nice.
He's
I'm going
my
to play
buddy.
nice with Joe.
The singing cowboy? Absolutely. Rob Drake is our home plate umpire, and set up inside. Where's the umpire? Oh, there he is. You see an umpire tucked so far inside, and you wonder if he can see the outside pitch.
Backhand play by Green. Nicely done. Out number one. Yeah, that's what Jake Westbrook needs to do all night long. Get the ground ball. One of the tops in all of baseball, actually. Second in ground ball percentage among all pitchers in the big leagues. And we mentioned his control being a lot better. Makes the defense better. Polanco drives one into right center field, and this ball is going to get down and get to the warning track. A one-out double for the former Cardinal Placido Polanco, who's hit over 300 in his career against Westbrook.
Just a tremendous hitter, and what a great career he's had.
We're at the middle of the order for the Phillies now, and let's take a look at our first bank first take. Hitters 3, 4, and 5 this season. Something the Phillies normally dominate, but their ranks not very high this year.
You know, without Chase Utley, who normally the third hitter, and obviously you have Ryan Howard, number 4, and I don't know if they really fully replaced Jason Worth and Ibanez, guys like that. You know, Hunter Pence is, you know, is one of their better hitters, but they've got a lot of guys hitting in areas that they normally wouldn't. You know, Hunter Pence is probably a good number 2 hitter. You know, Ruiz is their cleanup hitter now. He's having a tremendous year. There's Chase Utley. Starting to do some baseball activities, but it's going to be a while.
Second straight trip that he's made with the Phillies.
Molina out, and Dr. Westbrook maybe trying to make sure that he doesn't get upset with the umpire's strike zone. Oh, that's right there.
Didn't exactly hit his spot, but it's still a strike.
But Ricky, you and I have both seen when, you know, a catcher sets up away and you don't hit that target, sometimes you don't get the pitch.
The 2-0. Jake Westbrook made some mechanical adjustments in spring training to throw more downhill, as his hands at a different spot when he works out of the windup. And he's done a nice job in the Cardinal rotation. 4-pitch walk to Pence brings in one of the hottest Phillies, Carlos Ruiz.
Ruiz is just having a tremendous season, really carrying Philadelphia, and he's established himself as right now the most productive catcher in Major League Baseball.
Batting average at .357, third in the National League. Westbrook needs one of those ground balls here, and he gets strike one to Ruiz. You mentioned the Cardinals defense, Al. Cardinals are 21-9 in errorless games.
Makes a big difference. Remember the last time Jake pitched, he had a couple unearned runs behind him. Another pretty good curveball there that did not get the call.
And Jake has had an improved off-speed pitch as well this year. Slider's a little sharper. The 1-1.
And there you saw it right there. Doing a post game when I think you were in Arizona, and we showed some video of Jake Westbrook last season and this season. It was pretty obvious how much better he is mechanically this year. And we're lifting the arms over the head last year. Never arm was dragging, never caught up.
Everything was flatter. And I think he has slowed down a bit too. He's not rushing his delivery. He's not kind of working so quickly that he almost gets ahead of himself.
That's one of the things they've tried to do, is to slow him up a little bit. As you know, he was always very, very conscious of his responsibility and almost tried too hard.
One just missed outside. 2-2. Mixing breaking balls with sinkers to Carlos Ruiz. The 2-2. Watch out. And it did hit it. That's the 6th time this year that Carlos Ruiz has been hit by a pitch. He leads the National League.
I noticed that. And right there, just sort of a up and in, really had to have grazed him if it hit him at all.
Things not going the Cardinals' way here in the early going. It was a little bit like that here last night. The Cardinals swept the San Diego Padres by winning Game 3 here last night, but they trailed 3-0, and they couldn't get anybody out in the first inning. That was Lance Lynn, but he held on.
You cannot let an umpire's strike zone destroy your game. You still have to go out there and battle. Westbrook very capable of getting a ground ball double play. It would have been much easier with Ruiz, the catcher, running versus the flying Hawaiian Victorino.
Runs very well, batting from the left side. Flails at that off-speed pitch, kind of a weak hack there. 0-2 to Shane Victorino. Very good outfielder, been a very steady player for Charlie Manuel. Polanco, Pence, and Ruiz are your runners. First inning action from Busch Stadium. A lot of movement from the lower half with Victorino. That's his style, Al, but you wouldn't teach that to a young hitter.
Well, he's a switch hitter, and you have to believe that his natural side is the right side, so he's, you know, more of a stand there stationary and hit the ball with a little more thump. And then from the right side, he just really tries to take advantage of his speed as slap hitter. Made some good pitches, but he keeps on fouling them off.
Jake Westbrook working very hard here in the early going. Already thrown 23 pitches. Bases loaded, top of the first.
One pitch, ground ball, and you could get out of it.
Another foul at the plate. Victorino batting in the 5th spot in the lineup. You're more accustomed to seeing him bat second. With his speed, he has 13 stolen bases. He's just not your classic 5th place hitter, Al, not with that swing.
No.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. The Phillies having guys hitting out of their normal position. 0-2, misses low. .87 degrees at game time. There's a ground ball to the right side. Adams has it. He goes to second for one. Back to first. He's safe at first base. Close play at first. Adams had to make the decision whether to come home or to try to get the double play, and he made the effort to second, and Rafael for a call, and a bang-bang play at first base goes the Phillies' way.
Well, we talked about the flying Hawaiian. Victorino has great speed. Bang, bang play, but he's safe there. And you can see that foot on the bag right ahead of the return throw. Adams, you know, who you can understand, was a little deliberate, making sure they made an out, and that's the real key. You just wonder a year or two from now if he might quicken that throw to second base.
And he thought of coming home with that.
You know, a lot of times you think of that, but usually we think of the pitcher or third baseman. I think with Adams, you know, just, and they say he can, you know, he's not going to be a Gold Glover, but he's going to be average or maybe even a little above defensively.
There's a ground ball up the middle, base hit, and the Phillies now lead 2-0 here in the first. Ty Wigington with his 15th RBI.
He got a ground ball. It just found a hole. So ball out over the plate. Tries to pull it. You're usually going to hit that ball to the left side, and it's more up the middle, and so Pence comes around and scores the second run.
Phillies grabbing the early lead here in the top of the first inning against Jake Westbrook. 4-3.
Phillies are a good road team. Have been for several years.
John Mayberry Jr. has been used primarily as a pinch hitter by Charlie Manuel. He's 3 for 14 as a pinch hitter. 1 homer, 7 RBI.
A little different built than his father.
I was just thinking the same thing. 1-0, big swing. Big long swing on a pitch on the inside half. 1-1.
42% of Mayberry's career major league hits have been extra base hits, but of those 49, 22 have been home runs. So Blanton will have a couple runs to work with, Rick.
It's exactly what Jeff Suppan had yesterday. And he gave those 3 runs right back in the bottom of the first. Cardinals hoping for the same. As a starting pitcher, if you get to go grab your batting gloves with hopes of hitting in the first inning out, you're a pretty happy camper, aren't you?
Sure are. It's been quite a while since he left the bullpen. So a lot of times if you can come to the plate, you know, one, you know you've got a lead, you scored some runs, and 2, you kind of get your heartbeat a little bit more under control, but you get moving again.
Jake Westbrook has thrown 3 innings worth of pitches here in the first. 2-2 to Mayberry. 2 Phillies aboard. And now 3-2, and the runners will be moving.
Blanton and Westbrook both, you know, many years in the American League. And I would say they both probably subscribe to the theory of getting ahead and then trying to get a hitter to get himself out. Boy, I mean, how does a hitter take that pitch? Eric Lilliquist wants to find out too.
Mike Matheny with an eye on his catcher Yadier Molina, making sure he's not losing it with the home plate umpire Rob Drake. They've already spoken a couple of times already about a couple of the pitch locations, but that's the second walk to go along with a hit by pitch for Westbrook here in the first inning.
You know it's going to be a tight strike zone. You just ask it to be the same for both sides, and just somehow you got to find a way to throw enough strikes or convince hitters to expand the zone.
Only one start this season has Jake Westbrook walked more than 2 batters in that game. Freddie Galvis. Ball 1 to Galvis. Again, Westbrook acting as if he believed that was strike 1. Hard hit ground ball, base hit up the middle, and 2 more Phillies runs will score, and it's 4-0 Philadelphia. Hard hit ground ball by Freddie Galvis, the 8th place hitter, and Joe Blanton will indeed bat in the top of the first inning.
Galvis, a switch hitter, left-handed, only batting .213, but hit this ball hard, and once again it's a ground ball, but it finds a hole up the middle. So Victorino and Wigginton will score.
Westbrook not out of it yet. Strike 1 to Blanton. Blanton spent his first 4 years in the American League. Would presume very few at-bats there. And hitting just .071 this year.
Yeah. 1 for 14 this year, 115 career average. Former #1 draft pick with Oakland, and Molina still trying to plead his case and help his pitcher out with the strike zone.
Get the feeling that that conversation is not over.
Nope. And it's one we rarely see from Yadier. It usually works very well with and very well respected by the umpires. Doesn't show them up, but it's part of his job to plead the case and try and get as much of the strike zone you can.
0-2, swing and a miss. Westbrook finally gets out of the first inning, but he gives up 3 Phillies hits and 4 runs, and Yadier Molina continues to plead his case. Top of the order for the Cardinals when we come back. Batting order for Call, Schumacher, and Holiday in the first. Carlos Beltran has swung the bat well. He'll hit cleanup. David Freese, Molina, Matt Adams, Tyler Green, and Jake Westbrook. And plenty of conversation going on between innings. Just a few minutes ago, we had the home plate umpire Rob Drake, Yadier Molina, and Mike Matheny having a little conference, and Molina still hot about the strike zone in the top of the first inning, and Mike Matheny comes out to try to save his catcher.
Well, and obviously Mike or Yadier never said anything inflammatory, but Yadi was out there a long time pleading his case, almost the better part of the half-inning break, and then Mike Matheny continued.
First pitch high to Rafael Furcal. You know, plenty of intrigue in the early going here. Joe Blanton, 4-4, pitches for the Phillies here tonight.
He's trying to win his 5th game. Last time out, he had a career high 4 home runs allowed. And he kind of throws over the top as he'll trying to throw on that downward plane, keep away from the fly balls. Has a lot of all the, the secondary pitches, the curveball, the slider, the changeup.
Ground ball to the right side. Handled by Wigginton, out number 1. Cardinals and the Phillies both have very good defenses. Mayberry, Victorino, and Pence in the outfield. Polanco, Rollins, Galveston, Wigginton on the infield. And Carlos Ruiz, a breakout season for him, and Joe Blanton. That's your Dobbs Phillies defense. Both teams have made 24 errors on the season, and they lead the National League in that department. Line drive to center off the bat of Skip Schumacher, and August 2nd of last year, our home plate umpire Rob Drake and Yadier Molina met in a different place, a different time, but kind of had the same feeling towards each other.
There wouldn't be a carryover effect, would there?
No way. Umpires don't have long memories, do they?
So do players.
Impartial.
If I remember correctly, Yadi was suspended for a short period of time.
Yes, he was. And other than that one episode, you really can't remember Yadi getting that upset.
I think in that episode, the claim was made by the home plate umpire that Yadi had spit on him, if I remember correctly. And Yadi, I think, still kind of angry about that thought because he doesn't believe he did. And perhaps we'll never know. But we do know that those two are still going at it. And I have this little suspicion, Al, that that conversation is going to continue.
It will continue. And unfortunately, the umpire has the last word.
Matt Holliday, 3-1 count to the Cardinal left fielder. And it's ball 4, and that's something that Joe Blanton doesn't do very often. The lowest walks per innings percentage in the National League belongs to Joe Blanton, but he walks Holliday with 2 outs, and now he'll face Carlos Beltran.
Carlos Ruiz had a tough time against Blanton, but he hit another home run last night. Leads the National League with his 14, 37 RBIs. Nice pick by Ruiz.
Mentioned the Cardinals coming back in final game against the Padres. They were trailing 3-0, and they had 3 2-out hits in the bottom of the third to tie that score. So hoping again for some more 2-out magic here from Carlos Beltran. Waves at that pitch, 1-1.
Beltran is 3 for 16 off of Blanton.
Short lead for Holiday. Ground ball, base hit to right field. Past Wigginton. Holiday on his way to third. Bobbled in right field by Pence, but he gets the ball in a hurry. So Cardinals do indeed get another 2-out hit. Runners at first and third now for David Freese.
Hunter Pence has a strong throwing arm, and he's second to Frank Kerr in assists for the last few years. But good to see Carlos come through with a hit here. Nice, pretty swing. Plaza Tire Auto Service with our Exmo Cam. Wouldn't have changed because Holiday would have gotten a third either way, but I'm sure Hunter Pence in his mind thought he would have a chance to throw him out.
David Freese following a couple of days off, back in the lineup yesterday. Couple of hits, couple of runs scored for Freese, including a home run.
Couple mental days to kind of rest, and maybe that was part of the problem, pulling off of pitches. Then he's chasing breaking balls. There, it looked like he missed the slider. A lot of clubs have been trying to pound David in and then get him to chase breaking balls away.
The 1-1 to Freese. Line drive to center field, and this ball is caught by the center fielder Victorino. Outstanding defensive play robs David Freese of a 2-out RBI. Second inning, game one of a 4-game series. Great way to see a game at Busch is with a group of your friends or family. Group tickets are on sale now. Groups of 25 or more get great incentives, including a discount off gate price in most seating areas. For more details, visit cardinals.com/groups or call 314-345-9500. Top of the order again for Philadelphia. Rollins bounced out to lead this game off, but the Phillies exploded after that. A double for Polanco, a walk, a hit by pitch, an infield ground ball where a double play was not turned, and that led to another hit, a walk, and another hit, and 4 Phillies runs. Leadoff hit here in the second on a pitch up in the zone.
Ground balls means down in the zone. Get it up the top there, then you get elevated. Balls are hit in the air. It's not what he wants.
Placido Polanco, always been a very professional hitter.
Very good.
Expect him to be around 300. Good RBI guy. Handles the bat well. Hits the ball the other way well. Rollins 9 for 10 in stolen bases. Draws the attention of Westbrook.
Polanco really learned how to play the game the right way in the Cardinal minor league system. Traded from the Cardinals in the Scott Rowland deal.
Tough to let him go, wasn't it?
It really was, because I mean everyone respected him, but we're talking about, you know, Rowland, a heart of the order type hitter, and as good as Polanco is defensively, and he is very good, and you have to say Scott Rowland's better.
Polanco's shown some versatility. He's played a little second, third base. And takes a strike right down central. That pitch at 88 miles an hour. Polanco at 275. And you'd have to think, Al, that these Phillies at some point are going to get better offensively. They have such a good pitching staff. You just don't expect to see this team in last place for very much longer.
And the thing is, they say they've been scoring enough runs to win.
Fly ball to left. Right in the tracks of Matt Holliday out number 1.
Part of the problem has been bridging the gap from starter to closer. Papelbon's doing a great job, but you know, so many games have been lost with those middlemen.
And they have some injuries with some pitchers as well. Worley and Stutz are both out. 8 players on the disabled list for the Phillies. Talked about the Cardinals injuries.
So they aren't going to feel sorry for the Cardinals.
No. We noted during the Padres series, Al, that they had 13 players on the disabled list.
And they weren't very good to begin with.
No, they weren't. We didn't say it quite as directly as you just did, but I think that's a good point. Seems like an awful lot of injuries around baseball right now. Hunter Pence walked and later scored. He has hit the Cardinals well, and he has hit Jake Westbrook well. Ten homers, 28 RBIs. Ground ball to third. Freeze to second for 1. No chance to double up the speedy Hunter Pence. Last 2 games, the first inning, Cardinals have had a little trouble out. Last night, 3 runs. They hit a batter yesterday as well, and the pitch count high in both games. Yesterday it was Lance Lynn. He settled down and got back on track and picked up a victory.
And that was the only 3 runs he allowed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he had a quality start, picked up his 7th win. A little different story for Westbrook tonight.
Hunter Pence now the runner at first base. Not quite the threat Jimmy Rollins is to steal, but certainly capable. Carlos Ruiz was hit by a pitch for the 6th time this season. As part of that 4-run Phillies first.
Westbrook pitched very well last year against Philadelphia. He was 1-1 with a 1.74 ERA in both starts, allowing just 1 earned run in each.
Pence has his lead, not going. Breaking pitch, fouled off. Memory serves, Ruiz is a guy that we're used to seeing bat 8.
Yes.
You think
and
about
now
he's batting clean now.
Now he's batting half of that.
Right.
But his numbers reflected for Charlie Manuel. And by the way, Charlie Manuel last year.
The 2-1. Grounded foul.
You know, when we went to Philadelphia, we had that big four-game series against the Philadelphia, and here you see where he ranks among National League catchers. Is having quite a season. Number 1 in average, number 1 in RBIs, home runs 7. But Charlie told me, he said, look, don't worry about it. Those last 3 games of the year, I've got Rollins coming back, I got Utley coming back. They're going to play against Atlanta, and we're going to play to win. And they did. You know, as they helped that collapse of Atlanta, which allowed the Cardinals to win the wild card. And that's quite a statement, because, you know, right there you knew the Phillies were going to go in.
Base hit up the middle for Ruiz. That'll send Pence to third.
And the Cardinals had beaten them 3 out of 4 in September, and so, you know, they could have laid down a little bit, or they could have picked their choice to face Atlanta, who is hurting. Hunter sees the ball go on through, scoots over to third base with ease. 1 out, still have the double play in order. Excuse me, 2 outs.
For Shane Victorino. There's a bloop hit in the left center field, and it's going to score another and perhaps 2. 1 run scores, and here comes Ruiz. Play at the plate, and he is safe at the plate. Throw a bit high, and on the third base side, Yachty tried to get the tag down, but it's 6-0 Phillies.
With 2 outs and Ruiz running here, you know he's going to come around. Flying around the bases, had a chance. Throw to the foul side. He slides to the infield side, and that's how he's safe. Good call.
All Phillies. 6 runs on 6 hits against Jake Westbrook. And some action in the Cardinal bullpen.
Sure, it's Lance Dixon. Brandon Dixon warming up.
Skip Schumacher tried to run that ball down and get the runner at the plate, and here's the throw.
Not a particularly good throw right there as the ball sailed and high and wide. And Reeves was able to read that Yachty was on the foul territory, so he slides to the infield side and safe. A lot of pitches.
Ground ball up the middle, right over the bag. Green has it, and it's dug at first base by Matt Adams. Nice play there to help out Westbrook. 2 more for the Phillies. brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By your Mid-America Chevy dealers, the #1 selling brand in St. Louis. Find us at stlchevy.com. By Dodge Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake, just no equal. Molina bounces this one to third. Polanco throws him out. Yadier Molina just a moment ago.
Watch this. He can't get the donut off the bat, and I guess he didn't want to be sitting there trying to do that, so he gets the bat boy to give him a different bat. It's the donut won't come off.
So far, just one of those days for the Cardinals, huh?
And I kind of wondered what the strike zone would be like, so he swung at the first pitch.
Probably his second bat. Bat boys always have another bat handy in case a player breaks the bat or inadvertently throws it up into the stands, which we've seen quite a bit of this year. Part of the speed up rules. Matt Adams had his first major league RBI yesterday.
I talked to Matt today. He said yesterday he started feeling like he was at AAA. Really trying to get his feet wet here and getting extended playing time. And
I don't know if you were standing around the cage today when Matt Adams had the bat slip out of his hand.
First time I've seen that.
Matt, been around this game a long time. I know you have. I've never seen it either. The bat actually went through the netting on the cage, flew over the coaches' heads, which were right behind the cage. Didn't hit anybody, thankfully.
And I said I had never seen that. McGuire said it happened in spring training. Lance let go of a bat and went right through the netting. He said that time it really did whiz by someone's face.
I believe Chris Maloney was standing the closest to it. Nobody got hurt.
And like I said, it just went in between about three guys.
And Mike Matheny was just telling us how great the bat speed was at Matt Adams.
We're convinced.
0-2 and the 3-pitch strikeout to Tyler Green, so a good inning for Joe Blanton. 6-0 Phillies. Cardinals trail the Phillies 6-0, game 1 of a 4-game series here in the Gateway City. A very warm afternoon, temperatures over 90, cooled off a bit. Slight breeze has come and gone here tonight, but it's been all Philadelphia Phillies. Rick Horton with Al Raboski, and we're joined by Jim Hayes here in the top of the third, who has promised to lighten the mood, as he always does. Jim, welcome.
I'll do my best.
Well, you see the score, don't you?
I have seen the game to this point.
Okay.
We could use some brightening.
Well, you're in charge. Jake Westbrook back to work. Mayberry, Galvis, and Blanton, bottom of the order for the Phillies. Swing and a miss, 0-2, and Jim Hayes already doing better.
Positive energy, Al. He almost smiled.
Yeah, we're hoping to get a lot of injury report news from Jim as this inning unfolds. 0-2 to Mayberry. Swing and a miss. Good pitching on the hands for out number 1. Follow Fox Sports Midwest coverage of the Cardinals with MLB.com at Bat 12 for your iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry, and Windows Mobile. Get live audio, pitch tracking, video highlights, and more. Text at Bat to 31826 or visit Cardinals.com for details. Galvis, a single, a couple of RBIs. And Jim, I particularly want to ask you about Lance Berkman. Obviously, he's a guy that we're all thinking about, trying to understand when we might see him or if we might see him.
Sure, the injury update, just the thing to brighten the mood, Ricky.
Well, that's what you got. You got something. You got something better. Well, I'm saving the best stuff for the end because I know you have a nice story for us.
Well, Lance was scheduled to have his injured knee undergo surgery in Houston this morning. It's been postponed. What I'm told is it was just the doctor set to perform the surgery had a travel issue. So people reading into it probably shouldn't do that. Just a scheduling thing with the doctor. Of course, they'll go in there. They'll work on the meniscus. They'll do a scope and look for further damage to the ACL. The Cardinals are hoping for the best. Lance thinks probably an ACL, but got to wait and see.
Strike 1 to Blanton. 3 strikeouts now for Jake Westbrook as he's retired the first 2 Phillies here in the 3rd inning. And a couple of other guys of interest while we're talking hurt Cardinals. John Jay and Alan Craig.
Well, Alan Craig, that seems to be the brightest bit of news. He says the hamstring that landed him on the DL is feeling great. He is set to come off the DL for the game on June 1st. He believes at this point that's not going to be a problem. He says he'll be ready, and the quote he gave me, "I'll be ready to rock." But he said no guarantees because no one knows what could come up tomorrow. But right now he feels really good.
Alan Craig ready to rock on June 1st. I knew Jim Hayes would lighten the mood. Good inning for Westbrook. Is brought to you by MyKiaSt.Louis.com. And right now at Jack in the Box, you can try the new Chipotle Chicken Club Combo for just $4.99 plus tax. Beautiful Busch Stadium, 6-0 Phillies. Joe Blanton will fake Jake Westbrook, Rafael Furcal, and Skip Schumacher here in the Cardinals' third. Cardinals looking for their first run and trying to chip away. And that'll help. Base hit for Westbrook. How about that? Take a look at our Toyota keys to the game. Joe Blanton now in his career against the Cardinals.
You see, he's had the 7 games, 5 starts, good ERA under 3. He won the first 3 starts against him. He has lost the last 2, but the rest of MLB, 4.33 ERA. People might wonder, all right, 6-0. Why are you letting Jake Westbrook hit? Because that is smart. You go to the bullpen this early. Cardinals really don't have an off day until next Thursday, and you could just go through that bullpen. You could hurt it. So, his last inning was good. You try and ride him as long as you possibly can, and try and just get as many innings as possible.
70 pitches through 3 innings. The Cardinals did get good starts from Garcia and Wainwright that helped in that last series.
Yeah, you got plenty of arms down there, but the point being is, when you're asking to go 6 innings out of your bullpen, you really usually are going to wear somebody out. Mike Matheny has shown a propensity of going longer with relievers instead of a guy just going 1 inning and using 6 different relievers. He's shown the ability that he'll stick with one guy for 2 or 3 innings if he's going well.
1-2 to Furcal. There's a strike, a good breaking ball. Furcal doesn't like the call, but it's strikeout number 3 for Blanton, and Furcal is now 0 for 2. Check out this location.
Showing it's a strike. I'm sure Furcal thought it was high, but those high strikes on breaking balls really go a long way when you swing at them.
St. Louis Cardinals lead the National League in home runs with 56. There's a line drive in the gap in left center field, and this ball is down into the wall for Skip Schumacher. Jake Westbrook is held at third, and the Cardinals making some noise here in the bottom of the third. Skip Schumacher shooting the gap.
Now that is Westbrook running on this ball that gets all the way to the wall. And looks like once he reads it and sees it's down, he's motoring. Oquendo, who usually will send everybody home, holds the pitcher up. There is 1 out, and Holiday does have the best numbers against Blanton. So you're asking your number 3 hitter to deliver right now, help you get back in this game.
It's his job, isn't it?
It sure is. And Holiday kind of quietly has had a very good month of May.
His average is up to 270.
A 333 May for Holiday. RBIs have improved. The power's improved. Cardinals need him here. 1-0.
5 home runs, 17 RBIs in May with that 333 average.
I'd like to see that little thing go on in the Cardinals dugout, Jim, where they kind of go in there and shake everybody's hand in a big, nice, neat little row. That's kind of a new thing.
Well, you called it the receiving line.
I don't know what they call it.
Phrase. They don't have a name for it yet.
Well, it looks like a receiving line, doesn't it?
It does. The genesis apparently from spring training, according to some, it's kind of folklore, but they said Lance Berkman thought it was too unruly, so he designated 5 guys as high 5 guys and morphed into a neat, tidy receiving line. And Mike Matheny was saying maybe they got that from Japan where they do it. Maybe this is an import, but he said after the Cardinals do it, probably a lot of little league teams around the Midwest will be having their own receiving line.
I bet they will.
All I know is when they thought it was Jim Hayes' idea, the receiving line, it was going to change, and then you threw out Ricky. Well, it's Ricky's idea, and then they thought they'd think about it.
Well, it wasn't the idea. Ricky called it the receiving line. Well, and I want to give credit where credit is due. Ricky sent me on that story. I'm just a foot soldier, Al.
I would have either called it the gauntlet or the receiving line. Not sure.
Well, you did call it the receiving line.
Gauntlet is better.
Full count to Holiday. Ground ball to short. This is going to score Westbrook. RBI ground out for Holiday. And it's 6-1 Philadelphia. Chipping away. If you have a question for Mr. Rabowski, all you need to do is go to carsoup.com/Cardinals. Send us your email to booth questions, and Al will be busy on his computer firing away at
the computer that I possess in my nothing brain, huh?
You said it. Base hit up the middle for Beltran. Could be a play at the plate. Here comes the runner, and he is safe at the plate. Schumacher scores. Beltran to second.
Well, 3 and 4 have delivered, and the Cardinals are creeping back in this ball game. Beltran's 38th RBI. He took second on the throw. What really helped out the Cardinals is the ball right here. Victorino is a Gold Glover, but it hits the mound, and that kind of slowed it up a little bit and allowed Schumacher to come across the bag to the first base side. He slides to the foul territory, reaches the base, and Cardinals are coming back.
Skip Schumacher always seems to be in the middle of something good, doesn't he? Been that kind of player for the Cardinals.
David Freese was in the middle of something good last night after a couple days off. I know you guys were talking about that, but you could see the relief on his face.
Probably walking a little lighter today.
Hit the ball hard the first time, and Victorino made a shoestring catch on a line drive to center. Didn't like the first swing.
Nice lead for Beltran off a second. 1-1 the count to Freese. That pitch is high. 2-1.
There was a couple mental health days, I guess you'd call it, in there, but also working on some things. David said he was just flying open, and he knew what was wrong, so he worked with McGuire and Mabry, and seems to have corrected some things.
People don't realize how difficult that is. You can recognize what you're doing wrong, but once game action starts, it's hard to control yourself.
There's a line drive in the gap in right center, and it's down, and it's to the wall. David Freese has delivered here in the third, and Beltran scores. 6-3 Philadelphia. How's that for timing?
That's his natural stroke out there, so it's understandable when you're pulling off of pitches, you can't drive the ball the opposite way. You're going to roll over a lot of ground balls. You're swinging a lot of, hanging pitches. That ball up in the zone, and he takes it out to right center for his 32nd RBI. How about right now? Holiday has 31 RBIs, Beltran 38 RBIs, and David Freese 32. Then have to go back to 2003 to see that kind of production in this fewer games that having 3 guys in the 30s in RBIs.
And I think the sneaky guy in that is Rafael Furcalo, who has 21 out of the leadoff spot.
That's the most by a leadoff hitter in the National League.
So some trouble for Joe Blanton here in the third. 3 runs on 4 Cardinal hits, and not done yet.
What happened to those single tallies?
A lot of crooked numbers on that scoreboard.
Talking about the theme of 2 out base hits in the San Diego series.
Even watching David Freese, Jim, leading off the second base, he has a little bounce in his step. He's just kind of happy to be on second base. He was a 0 for 14 plus and a lot of swings and misses.
He's just, as Al said, naturally geared toward right center. He said growing up, his father would just drill it into right center. So that's his comfort zone, and he got a pitch to handle and send it right out there.
And Ricky, as a pitcher, if a guy's a pull hitter, he's easy to pitch to.
You know,
No doubt.
if a guy will spray the ball and particularly go the opposite way, then you can't stay in one area. Kind of have to move it around, in and out, up and down, change speeds.
Love to pitch to those power hitters that are only thinking about jacking it down the left field line.
How much they get a hold of one.
Well, you try not to let that happen.
Yeah, but you let them hit everything hard, foul. And a lot of times, most of the time, they'll roll over on outside pitches and give you a nice little ground ball if it's a right-hand hitter to shortstop.
1-2 the count. All-star catcher Yadier Molina at the plate. Chance to add on. Floats this one foul into the stands.
Kind of get the impression it might be good advice for anything close for Molina to swing at.
Do you think he's aware of that?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think there's about 40,000 people aware of that.
Swung at the first pitch, first at bat.
The 1-2.
We would know there would be something if he would have been rung up on that one.
David Freese, the runner at second. He doubled in Beltran, who singled in Schumacher. The 2-2 is a base hit up the middle for Molina. Here comes David Freese. He'll score. And it's 6-4. Molina to second base, and he's safe there.
Down 6-0. You let the pitcher lead off the inning. He gets a base hit, comes around to score. And this ball, because it's a ground ball, doesn't get to Victorino fast enough that allowed Freese to come around to score. A high throw. Yadi takes advantage of that. And Ruiz makes a high throw to second base, so Yadi's going to be safe at second. He reads this ball well. Saw the high trajectory home, so he decides to go to second. It's a risk, but with a high throw, he's safe.
Wouldn't this be some time for the first major league home run for Matt Adams? Certainly has the power to do it. 6-4 Philadelphia. 4 runs in the Cardinals' third.
Activity, or at least they're stirring. Got a lefty kind of tossing now in the Phillies bullpen.
For a guy with so much power, Adams seems to have a relatively easy, relaxed swing.
Yeah, he has a nice swing, and it's Valdez.
The 0-1 fouled it back. Good bat speed too, Al.
You know, yeah, he's very quick, very short to the ball, and he had very good numbers. As you see now, Blanton's pitch count getting up there. In a long third inning.
Pitch number 27 this inning for Joe Blanton.
3 consecutive RBI hits.
Swing and a miss. And they're going to have to throw out Adams. Very busy as a third base coach is Jose Oquendo. Nice to have Jim Hayes with us too. 6-4. Division of Tourism. Go to visitmo.com to start planning your next Missouri getaway. This is the Winston Churchill Memorial and Library located in Fulton. The memorial is on the campus of Westminster College, which is the site of Churchill's famous Iron Curtain speech. We all know about that. You can experience the sights and sounds of life in the trench on the Western Front during World War I. Visitmo.com. 6-4 Philadelphia. And new life, Al Raboski, for the Cardinals starter Jake Westbrook.
Well, hope he can repeat his third inning where he struck out the side. But he's at 70 pitches, so you basically say, okay, you got 40 more pitches. Try and get 2 or 3 innings out of it.
First pitch swinging. Nice play by Tyler Green. And he throws out Jimmy Rollins.
And there have been times when Tyler has had some spectacular games offensively, and then you have a little bit of drought. But it's part of this defense like this that's kept him in that lineup. And what really excites Mike Matheny and staff is he is so athletic, probably the best athlete on the field. Definitely from the Cardinals standpoint.
He was crowned, Al, the starting second baseman. He got that pronouncement somewhere even before spring training. Got it from John Mozeliak. This is the guy we want to be our second baseman. And somewhere the first couple of weeks of the season, we saw him platooning a lot with Daniel Descalzo. Skip Schumacher's played some second base. Do you think he is, at this point, the everyday second baseman?
Yes. And I think that, they wanted it. He was out of options. He's a former #1 draft pick. It was obvious that he just could not relax under Tony La Russa. And for whatever reason, he just did not show his athleticism. And as you said, Mike Matheny pretty much anointed him as a second baseman. The ball club would be best if he played every day. We both had the feeling that Schumacher wasn't going to play second base this year.
Bad hop over the glove of Adams, who tried to backhand that. That should be a base hit for Polanco.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that because it did take right as Adams went to backhand that ball, it took a hop over his glove. But now you're starting to see Tyler's had some spectacular games. Earlier in this week, he had the game-winning RBI. Had 2 scoring rallies and then closed it off with the home run. He's made enough really spectacular plays to where Scalzo better suited as being the super utility. Schumacher playing center field, being more of an outfielder this year.
And occasionally you're going to have games with Tyler where he strikes out 3 times and boots a 2-hopper right to him, and we've seen that before.
But he's starting to gain a lot of confidence in playing like he did at AAA, where he hit .333. They said he was a difference maker in AAA.
Hunter Pence walked and scored, reached on a fielder's choice and scored in the second. Cardinals back in this game. 6-4 Philadelphia. Polanco the runner at first. Sinker misses inside, and plenty of sinkers missing to the arm side for Jake Westbrook.
Well, that kind of reminded me. I was talking about that video I saw last year when he lifted the arm over his head and his arm was dragging, and it almost like it forced him to pitch, to the right-handed batter. He would never really get his arm catching up, so he'd be up and in to the right hand. And we've seen that a little bit today, where he's not getting on top, finishing off pitches where you get the downward action. Things are just kind of getting sideways on the ball, and it stays up.
2-2. Westbrook set, and the delivery just misses. Dyer Miller told us, Al, in spring training, the way he describes it with his pitchers is he wants to have a lot more Ferris wheel, meaning you're going up and down as opposed to around. And he calls that, I don't want a merry-go-round, I want a Ferris wheel. And that's the upper body of the pitcher, and that keeps you on top. And Westbrook certainly has improved in that area.
And Dyer's been around a long time, and now he's anchoring down there in the bullpen. He was pretty much a reliever most of his big league career. Been in the minor league system for a long time.
And a perfect voice of reason when things aren't going well to have down in that bullpen. 3-2. Line drive to right. In comes Beltran. Catches it about head high for out number 2. It'll be a big night for us tomorrow night on Fox Sports Midwest. It'll be our American Forces Network, This One's For You telecast. We'll have a satellite link. It's going to connect us to Army soldiers from Missouri watching live in Bagram, Afghanistan. If you're going to be at Busch Stadium, join in our special appreciation by bringing a sign. Please do that. Watch This One's For You Friday on Fox Sports Midwest. Really looking forward to that, Al. I know you look forward to that each year, a chance to honor our troops, and we always have something special in store, so you're not going to want to miss Game 2 of this series.
Really looking forward to it, as you say, and you know what we're really looking forward to when we don't have our troops deployed in war zones.
Agreed. Base hit to right for Ruiz. Charlie Manuel told us he's just been finding holes.
Well, he's doing a couple things right. He's got 7 home runs. He's got all the, the 29 RBIs, but he adds to his 357 average. He's been his second hit, been hit by a pitch, and his average up to now is 366.
Came in third in the National League in batting.
Victorino's in the middle of the action.
3 RBIs already for Shane Victorino. He bats with 2 outs. 2 Phillies aboard. Westbrook eyeing the sign and pitch number 86. Slider for strike 1. Slider has been in and out.
At times, he's had good tilt and downward action on it. Other times, a little frisbee.
Right.
Kind of gets underneath it and it flattens out.
Changeup misses low. Nice crowd on hand. Straight up in the outfield, slightly to pull for Victorino. But normal outfield depth. Here's a look at that crowd, Al. Very warm day in St. Louis, but folks out celebrating Cardinal baseball tonight.
Well, it's a Thursday night. St. Louis, the envy of most baseball cities for the attendance that they have. And
Cardinals do a lot of things right. Watch out.
Still, the best promotion is winning baseball, and the Cardinals have done that in their storied history. I remember the first time they drew over 3 million fans, the commissioner of baseball said it would be equivalent. It was the first time a metropolitan area had outgrown or outdrew itself. The Cardinals about 2.5 million in the metropolitan area. And they said it would have been equivalent to New York drawing 13 million or LA drawing 10. So a real salute to the Cardinal fans.
And we will salute our troops tomorrow night. This one's for you. Not going to want to miss that telecast. Full count to Victorino. The runners will be moving. And the pitch from Westbrook. Changeup pulled foul. And you kind of get a feeling this could be an important pitch for Jake Westbrook. If he can get through this inning out, maybe he's got another inning left in him.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's had 91 pitches. Whether they let him go or not, Dixon is ready. But what I'm looking at is a big 0 up there to stop this Phillies offensive train.
Walk to Victorino will load the bases for Ty Wigginton.
Yeah, 13 walks coming in, and that's just not Westbrook.
Matheny comes out. Dixon will come in. 6-4. Fans age 21 and older, the second Stein in the championship series, highlighting the Cardinals' 2011 World Series win over the Texas Rangers. Log on to Cardinals.com to get your tickets for Championship Stein Day, presented by Budweiser. Perhaps a very important part of this ball game. Bases loaded for the Phillies here in the top of the fourth. And a high leverage situation for Brandon Dixon. Comes in with the bases loaded. He's our Mid-America Chevy dealer, called with the bullpen.
He was brought up from Memphis to replace Kyle McClellan when we went on the disabled list. In my mind, this is what you want. You want pressure situations because you can't convince anybody that you're good enough to stay here unless you can succeed in these opportunities.
Facing Ty Wigginton, bases loaded. Fly ball to center field. Schumacher makes the play. Dixon gets his man, and the Cardinals trail by 2. The Jack in the Box Ask the Expert chats on FoxSportsMidwest.com. Tonight's chat is going to be hosted by our very own Chris Duncan. Ask the Expert at FoxSportsMidwest.com. Cardinals have fought their way back into this game with a 4-run third. Tyler Green leads off the bottom of the fourth. Flies this one into shallow center field. Handled by Victorino. 1 pitch, 1 out for Joe Blanton.
Talk to the expert, Chris Duncan. Tell you what, I really enjoyed. I know, I understand he does an excellent job on our pre and post game shows when he's on, and he'll be on, I think, next couple nights or through the weekend. But I've enjoyed the heck out of him on the radio. He's done a great job.
Knows the game, doesn't he? And he's not afraid to say what he thinks.
Yep. But I found that he's very knowledgeable in all sports.
Brandon Dixon getting an at-bat.
Well, he was the starting pitcher at Memphis and didn't make his major league debut last season. Non-drafted. And here he's pitching in the big leagues.
Two for 3 in his career with the bat. Well, the average is going to go down to 500 now. He had 2 hits last year in his 3 plate appearances for the Cardinals. And he's now a strikeout victim in the 4th inning. Top of the order, and Furcal, who's 0 for 2. 5 strikeouts now for Plant, who weathered a very difficult 3rd inning, and Al, I wasn't sure he was going to be able to get out of that.
Without the strikeout to Matt Adams, maybe he wouldn't have. Threw a lot of pitches. We've seen a lot of times, though, a pitcher will regroup after a rough inning.
He was on the ropes, though.
He was on the ropes. Give you that. And Cardinals had 3 consecutive RBI base hits with 2 outs.
Call at 335. 18 multi-hit games for Furcal.
He's definitely been the definition of a leadoff man. As you said, his RBIs are tops in the National League.
Cardinals have used Schumacher now quite a bit in his career in that leadoff spot, but there was always kind of this feeling that's probably not the best place for Skip. He doesn't quite have the speed of Furcal.
Not a base stealer. And Ralphie still has over 300 steals. We don't see a lot. And there's a pitch that really has been called for Westbrook.
Payoff pitch. Line drive to left, and it gets down in front of Mayberry. 2-out hit for Furcal, and we'll see if he runs here. How about this view of beautiful Busch Stadium? 2006, brought in a world championship. First year. So sorry, Al, in some ways to see the other Busch Stadium go, but been very pleased with this one. How about you?
I have no problem with tearing down Busch Stadium 2, even though my career was there, but I like this one better. I think it's much improved for the fans and,
no question,
and for the players' locker room.
No
Our
question.
accommodations are better also.
So we're all happy. 1-1 to Schumacher. Mike Matheny was telling a very interesting story about Schumacher. Yesterday's game, the Padres had scored 3 in the first, and Schumacher came in to a very somber Cardinal dugout in the bottom of the first inning, and he just made a short statement of, "Come on, let's go." And multiple people followed his lead, and Skip, kind of a reluctant leader early in his career, is starting to take more and more of that position with the Cardinals of being a vocal leader. Everybody respects him, not only the way he plays, but the way he is as a man, his character, and I think Skip is really coming into his own as a leader.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He's one of the core players, and everyone looks to him for leadership. And he's a guy that, you know, he was kind of projected as a 4th outfielder earlier in his career. Then he has the Edmonds and Duncans and the other guys kind of moved on. He started getting more and more playing time. Remember, going from the outfield to second base.
Little flare in the left center field. This could be trouble, but it's run down by Mayberry Jr. Philadelphia. And we want to let you know that our local McDonald's restaurants want to express their appreciation to their customers with 24-cent Big Macs and Quarter Pounders with cheese when you buy one at a regular price. Big Mac land. That is a long way from home plate, but reachable by some. Bottom of the order for the Phillies in the 5th. Brandon Dixon in relief of Jake Westbrook.
Brandon has a chance here to really win some brownie points. Hold down this lineup, give the team a chance to come from the 2 runs down.
You mentioned if the Phillies have had a bit of an Achilles heel, maybe a bad reference considering that's what the problem with Ryan Howard, and I didn't mean it that way, but you mentioned their middle relief, and it's been a struggle for them.
It's been a little bit better of late, but there was a time early in the season where they had the most expensive closer in history, and he never pitched in a game with a lead. They were losing too many games.
Interesting makeup of their bullpen too, Al. They have 4 left-handed pitchers in their bullpen.
Right.
One former Cardinal, Raul Valdez, who was here some last year.
Bring him in.
Kind of harsh, Al.
Reality. He's no longer a Cardinal pitcher, is he?
I'm with you. But they also have 2 left-handed starters in Cole Hamels, who we will not see in this series. And of course Cliff Lee. So 2 lefty starters, 4 in the bullpen. And of course Jonathan Papelbon is their closer. He has 12 saves. Chad Qualls, Jose Contreras also from the right side. Two. High throw, and it pulls Adams off the bag. That's going to be an error for David Freese, his 3rd of the year. And the errors are now at 1 apiece as an error was charged to Carlos Ruiz early in this game. That ball just kept sailing on Matt Adams.
Just such a routine play and not what you need right here. So put a little more pressure on Dixon. But as a pitcher, you have to pitch around those mistakes.
Freddie Galvis is 1 for 2. He was the minor league player of the year for the Phillies last year. Galvis just 22 years of age. Switch hitter.
See Dixon kind of kicking at the mound a little bit. Is watch him come up here, delivers a pitch, and then he goes to take off. His foot slipped.
Slap foul. Galvis, one of those late bloomers. Minor league player of the year last year. But in his 5 years in the minor leagues, a career batting average of .246. But he's getting an opportunity. Chase Utley, who is with the club, doing some baseball related activity, as Al's already told you. Not ready yet. Ground ball to 3rd. Freese with another chance. Lead runner at 2nd, on to 1st. Not in time. Again dug out by Matt Adams. Phillies, we mentioned, last place in the National League East, and there's a couple of teams out around baseball who are in unusual position in the early going.
Boston Red Sox, and then you see the Angels. They're getting a little bit better. They're 5 games under. Red Sox are at 500. Philadelphia 1 under. So even though they're off to slow starts, they're all playing a little better baseball.
And you wouldn't count out any of those 3 teams.
No. And
I wouldn't count out the Phillies under any circumstances. You get Ryan Howard back perhaps after the All-Star break. Maybe Chase Utley. It's going to be a different team.
Spending the last 3 days in the Anaheim area, I heard an awful lot of comments about Albert Pujols. And it just seems like he hasn't won over too many fans just yet. But
he's swinging the bat better.
Yeah, and Albert always said, you know, well, just wait till the end of the season. The numbers will be there, and I'm sure the Phillies, Boston, and the Angels will all be feeling better about themselves when the season's over.
Blanton, bunting situation. Dixon steps off. Galvis has not attempted a stolen base yet. Averaged about 10 a year in the minor leagues. Not going. And he misses strike 2. Joe Blanton having a hard time getting the ball in the infield.
It doesn't really matter, but right there you see that Dixon needs to pitch down, and he's been doing so.
There's a bunt foul, which means a strikeout. And that's the 3rd time Joe Blanton has struck out. This time bunting. And 2 outs. 1 runner aboard for Jimmy Rollins. Cincinnati winners today. They beat the Atlanta Braves 6-3, which means they are currently tied with the Cardinals. Talking about places, and again, it is only May, so we're not worried about it, but just to let people know what's going on around baseball. The Cardinals have held on to first place, Al, since day 1 of this season, and are in jeopardy right now of losing that.
Correct. They'd have to win today to stay a half game ahead of the Reds. Pretty rare when a club goes from first place all through the season, so it's not alarming. I've been associated with a lot of clubs that, you know, after 45, 50 games, you know, they're at 500, they feel pretty comfortable.
May depend on what division you're in.
Sure.
If you're playing in the National League East, I would say you shouldn't be very comfortable at 500.
No. But there's a lot of parity now. So Philadelphia's 1 game under 500, and they're 4.5 games back. So I mean, yeah, plenty of time to make that up. They've just had a problem with Washington. They're now leading the National League East. A half game over Atlanta.
1-2. Curveball misses the outside corner. Dixon's showing a lot of movement on all of his pitches, Al. Count now even to Jimmy Rollins.
Everyone is enamored with velocity, but it's really movement which is the most important. Ball's moving, it's hard to hit a round baseball with a round bat.
He did it right there. Base hit up the middle for Jimmy Rollins.
Said it's hard to do.
Doesn't mean it's impossible.
Right.
Hit number 9 for the Phillies.
Down and away. Off speed pitch, but Rollins reaches out, hits it up the middle. They found a lot of hits up the middle of the diamond.
Sure have.
Polanco's 2 for 3.
Brandon Dixon escaped the jam in the 4th inning. Came in with the bases loaded. Jake Westbrook exited. Induced a fly ball to center field to get out of that inning, and now he's working his first full inning in the 5th. Dixon has his sign. The 1-2. Hit to right field, and it finds a hole. Beltran charges. The throw to the plate, and he is safe at the plate. Strong throw up the first base line from Carlos Beltran. And a 2-out hit for the Phillies makes it 7-4. Classic Placido Polanco.
Oh, absolutely. Just reaches out, strokes it, his 3rd hit of the game. Beltran has his momentum coming forward, strong throw, but just to the foul side. And Galvis is able to score from second base.
Hunter Pence with a chance to do more damage. Takes strike 1.
Mentioned earlier, Rick, that Hunter has had good success against the Cardinals in his career. This season hadn't hit particularly well with runners in scoring position.
There was a time when Hunter Pence could not hit the Cardinals. They used to give him a steady diet of breaking balls, and then somewhere along the line they started hanging him, and then he started getting confidence. Then he started hitting the good breaking balls. The Cardinals may need to throw away the book on how to pitch to Hunter Pence and start over.
See, it starts with an open stance, and that's what they used to do. You know, breaking balls are there, but then you got him to chase balls that he couldn't reach. Chokes up on the bat a little bit. And a very good hitter, but like all hitters, there's holes, there's ways to pitch to them, but
there's that curveball in the dirt.
Yeah, probably called from Molina. A lot of times people think, well, you just throw a breaking ball. Well, you got to have a quality one, or at least make it out of the hitting zone. Play a fastball inside. Get it inside.
Hunter Pence with very, you would almost say, awkward styling, whether it's the way he throws the ball in right field or the way he fields the ball, the way he runs, the way he stands at the plate. He just kind of looks awkward, but he sure is a good athlete.
No, you're absolutely right. See how he chokes up, and you never see that anymore. Early in his career, that he would have struck out a couple times already on pitches now that he's just looked at.
Agreed.
A better knowledge and understanding the strike zone, what teams are trying to do to him, and when you have to come in, you can make a mistake.
Ground ball up the middle. Furcal has it on the run. Close play. He gets his man. So Furcal helps out Dixon. But the Phillies tack on another. It's 7-4. Middle of the order for St. Louis. by Budweiser. This one's for you telecast. Tomorrow night, Cliff Lee and Kyle Loesch. Coverage begins at 6:30 on Fox Sports Midwest. And it's going to be a very, very special evening. Matt Holliday, Carlos Beltran, and David Freese in the 5th. Joe Blanton, not an overpowering fastball. Topping out at about 90 or so.
You know, it's one of the things that they kind of preach in Philadelphia is to try and do first pitch strikes. Sounds like everybody tries to do the same, but then they, work both sides of the plate very well, but really try to get you to expand your zone and get yourself out.
Sounds like pitching to me.
It really does. I mean, it's very simple.
Rich Doobie, the pitching coach for the Phillies, has done a nice job, and he's had a lot of good arms to work with, too.
Sure he has, but the simpler you can make it, the better off you are. See, his mechanics on the mound are just very simple. Just holds the ball there at the chest and really just starts his momentum going towards the plate.
This ball hit deep to left, and it is long gone. Home run number 10 for Matt Holliday.
There's one player in the Cardinals that had good success against Blanton. It really wasn't the biggest ratio, but it's 3 for 8. A couple doubles. There's the receiving line or the gauntlet. My preference. Especially the gauntlet, you get to whack them though, don't you?
That's why you like it. Now there's probably a little bit of that going on.
I might be a little more respectful with Matt.
That's a good idea.
Matt had hit, that's the second home run off of Blanton.
Line drive to left, and it's fair into the corner. Carlos Beltran doubles, and the Cardinals are moving here in the 5th. We have a very good choice, Al, for our Nissan drive of the game.
And no doubt about it, when you hit a ball this far and this hard, it has to be a Nissan drive of the game. His 10th home run, the second RBI of the night. He's up to 32. Second home run against Blanton. Carlos Beltran has 3 hits. He had the worst numbers against Blanton coming in.
His average now up over 300.
Beltran was 3 for 16 coming in, and he's doubled his hit total. Valdez is warming up.
And Al likes that. 2-0 to David Freese. Nobody out for the Cardinals here in the 5th, and they are just not laying down for the Phillies. Phillies built a 6-0 lead, and the Cardinals have battled back. The 2-0. Always on alert, Al, on those 2-0 pitches, because you just have a sense that it's a dangerous pitch, especially with a guy with power.
Sometimes hitters will take that pitch. Other times they're very aggressive. Found towards the end of my career that a lot of times when you were pitching behind in the count, you get a lot of hitters that look for a pitch out over the plate, and you could really almost throw it middle in and they would jam themselves.
Absolutely. Outfield deep for David Freese. Low ball 3. Yadier Molina bats next.
Full count now.
Redbirds trying to take Jake Westbrook off the hook. Rough start for him, 3 2/3, 8 hits, 6 earned runs. 3 walks and 4 strikeouts. Payoff pitch.
Swing, David could tie this game.
Ground ball to the left side. Rollins in the hole. He's going to make the play to third, and he gets the runner Beltran there. His only play was to third. A bit of a hesitation for Carlos Beltran. And the lead runner is lost on a good heads-up play by Jimmy Rollins.
No other way to say that. First of all, you didn't know if he was going to be able to reach it. And the only play, you see how off balance he is. The only play is throw it to there. Polanco at third. You can't fault Beltran for thinking he could scoot over to third base. And just the way it ended up, that there was only one play, and you can see how athletic it had to be from Jimmy Rollins. Then he throws a perfect strike, and Beltran really slides into the tag.
A high throw, and he's safe.
Yeah, you can't blame him for thinking he could, advance a base there.
Probably took a hit away from David Freese.
Oh, no doubt, because Rollins had no play at first. So it's a fielder's choice because they did get the out at third base.
Molina's 1 for 2. And he does have an RBI, his 21st of the season. There's a hard hit ball to center field, and it's deep. Victorino's back to the wall. It's gone! Yadier Molina has tied this game. Home run number 6 to straightaway center field.
Knockout blow as Charlie Manuel's walking to the mound and look for a change. So last pitch you throw, dead center field, a 2-run shot to tie the game, the 3rd RBI for Molina. He knew it right off the bat, and the Cardinal fans know it. And here comes the gauntlet.
New ball game at Busch Stadium, and the crowd is loving it. 7-7. Cardinals have battled their way back into this game. A 3-run fifth inning. Matt Adams facing our Chevy dealers call to the bullpen, the left-hander, Raul Valdez. Giving chase is Polanco. Mentioned Valdez, one of 4 left-handers in Charlie Manuel's bullpen.
He's made 3 scoreless appearances for the Phillies, holding opponents to a .067 ERA, 1 for 15. Lefties are 0 for 5. His numbers as a Cardinal really weren't that bad, but it just seemed like pitch for St. Louis. And he was for St. Louis last season. Made 7 appearances, was 0-1. I remember he pitched for St. Louis, but I don't remember it last year. I would have thought
Wasn't very long.
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
And what we really remembered about him, Al, is how really almost stiff and short his mechanics are. He just kind of turns and throws it. You almost think of him as an infielder pitching.
I think we use that description of him. You know, he looks like throwing a little better right now, but I mean, last year it seemed like at times that he threw like a guy coming in to finish up a ball game, an infielder, as really couldn't get the arm angle up and kind of just swung it.
Does have a good changeup and a good slider, and he shows it to Matt Adams. Out number 2. Well, we've got good news for our friends at Mobile. Cardinals have scored more than 6. They've tallied 7 here, so any size drink is just 50 cents all day tomorrow at your nearest On the Run at Mobile. This year 6 is a serious number again. 7's even better.
We're going to need more than 7 runs to win this game.
You got that right. 7 runs, 10 hits, and an error for Philadelphia. 7 runs, 10 hits, and an error for St. Louis. Phillies have stranded 8. And you look back on that inning where Brandon Dixon came in with the bases loaded to retire Wigginton. That was in the 4th.
Somehow Tyler Green needs to extend the inning. Then Shane Robinson would pinch hit for Dixon. Salas is warming up. A lot of 2-out magic tonight.
Line drive right at Polanco. Cardinals lead the National League in home runs, and they strike twice here in the bottom of the 5th. First, it's Matt Holliday, his 10th. Then Yadier Molina, his 6th. This game is tied. They'll be distributed at the new Busch Bash gate located next to Gate 5. Only fans with the line tickets will receive an autograph at the Busch Bash. And on May 25th, it'll feature Vince Coleman. Visit Cardinals.com/promotions for more details. A new ball game. Fernando Salas, pitcher number 3 for St. Louis, and a couple of other changes. Shane Robinson comes in to play center field, and Skip Schumacher moves to second base. First pitch, first out for Salas.
Salas, last time we saw him was Friday night in Los Angeles, where he walked 3, including the game winner with the bases loaded. So good sign that he throws 1 pitch, has 1 out.
So Robinson will bat in the 9th spot. Salas takes over for Tyler Green in the 8th spot, who made the last out in the 5th, and that's the double switch.
Versatility once again of Schumacher, moving from center to second. It's easy for infielders to go to the outfield, but very difficult what Skip did a couple years ago, moving from the outfield to second into the infield.
You know, you have to give Tony La Russa a lot of credit. He's going to be a Hall of Fame manager, but one of the things that I always thought he was really good at is sensing that certain players were different, and you could do some things with them that maybe you wouldn't do with the normal player. Just as you said, moving a Skip Schumacher into the infield doesn't make sense at that point in his career. But he just knew the work ethic of Schumacher and the heart of Schumacher and thought it was worth the effort.
And the shoe did show you that it was worth it. That ball not called a strike. Seems like the strike zone has been a little tighter for the Cardinal pitching, particularly early in this game for Westbrook.
Uncharacteristically walking 3 in his outing. Joe Blanton, just 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, but 10 hits in his 4 1/3 inning. 7 earned runs.
Neither starter is going to be very happy.
And we do have some good pitching matchups in this series. It was Blanton and Westbrook today. Al just said they're not happy. Tomorrow it'll be Loesch and Cliff Lee. Cliff Lee looking for his first victory. Curveball laced to left field. Second hit of the night for Victorino. In the 3rd game on Saturday of this series, it'll be Garcia and Kyle Kendrick, who's 0-4, and then Adam Wainwright and Roy Halladay in the finale. And we haven't really talked much about it during the telecast. We mentioned it pregame now, but these two teams had a pretty fantastic first week in October last year. We remember so much of what the Cardinals did at the end of October with the Texas Rangers in the World Series after beating the Brewers, but they first had to get by this team and some very good pitching.
You know, so many people just talk about Game 6 as one of the greatest in World Series, and I would venture to say that Game 5 in the League Championship Series, the Halladay-Carpenter matchup, the 1-0 game.
Ground ball, base hit to left for Wigginton. One of those nice moments, Al. Game 4 of the NLDS.
You don't go to Game 5 without what David Freese does right here.
That's Roy Oswalt on the mound. And I think I've seen a home run hit just about right there.
I think a week later, whatever it was, that David Freese hit the game-winning home run in Game 6 to send it to a 7th game in the World Series. David hit a very similar pitch, similar spot, and he was the MVP of both the League Championship Series and the MVP of the World Series.
That game was really a turning point for David Freese.
Yeah, that kind of jump-started him, didn't it?
Well, there's a story that he went into the clubhouse to watch video in the middle of that game because he was struggling, wasn't swinging the bat well, and noticed that he was not planting his front foot quickly enough. and kind of made an adjustment, went out, got a double off of Oswalt, then the home run that we just saw, and he went on to do bigger and better things after that. Game of adjustments. Found it interesting that John Mabry told us that they're really working to do a lot of in-game adjustments.
I was talking a little bit with Mark McGwire about that, and of course Mark, pretty much most of his career was beginning of the video.
Infield fly.
Mark was saying that, you know, he appreciates the additional tool of video, but yet he found it was the old school with him, that he trusted his own eyes and his mind and what he was seeing to make adjustments in game. But now, you know, it used to be if a Cardinal team, and this goes back several years, that they had a scout report that said a pitcher's going to pitch one way and he pitched the opposite of that, they could not adjust. And now that's part of the reason why they're working on the in-game adjustments, utilizing video, what your mind sees, how they're pitching. You can put all this, compute it, and, you know, being able to make better adjustments during the course of the game.
One thing you could say about Mark McGwire is being around him now, he really appears to love his job.
Oh, and very, very passionate about it, and always complimentary of the players.
Line drive, the center field base hit. Schumacher charges. Robinson, in center field, and throws over the cutoff man's head, and it's 8-7 Philadelphia. A bloop hit to center field, and an RBI for Freddie Galvis.
Fontenot is going to pinch hit here, but base hit up the middle. Victorino has really good speed, nicknamed the Flying Hawaiian, and not a particularly good throw from Robinson. So when they made the double switch and you lost the throwing arm of Schumacher out there, you know, Schumacher has a much stronger throwing arm than Robinson. Fontenot batting a cool .462, 6 for 13. Pinch hitter in his career is .229, 32 for 140, 12 doubles, 2 home runs, and 20 RBIs.
Here's a line drive to center, and this one's going to drop. Another hit for the Phillies and another RBI, scoring Wigginton. And it's now 9-7. Phillies have been finding holes. It's what good hitters do.
The ball's up a little bit, and Fontenot just sends it out into left center for the RBI. These two clubs are among the leaders offensively, and they're putting on an offensive show.
Cardinals #1 at .278 team batting average, leading the National League in runs scored by quite a margin. Phillies came in 3rd in the National League in batting. And again, we mentioned the power has been more St. Louis. Talk about a surprise. With the ballpark in Philadelphia and a very fair ballpark here in St. Louis, yet the Cardinals are out muscling the Phillies by quite a long way.
And to think without Albert Pujols. But I would say the addition of Carlos Beltran is been phenomenal and making up for some of the lost production. Albert leading the National League in home runs, second in RBIs.
Swing and a miss. Rollins strikes out, but the Phillies tack on 2 more. They have 14 hits. Sports Midwest is brought to you by AT&T. The nation's largest 4G network, AT&T, rethink possible. Find a helpful servicing Steel dealer near you. Visit steeldealers.com. And by Acura. Acura Advance. (9-7) Phillies. I'd like to have Stan the Man Musial pinch hit before this game was over. But first we'll see Shane Robinson batting in the 9th spot, then the top of the order against the new Phillies hurler, Chad Qualls.
Chad's been around a long time, 33 years of age now, very durable but struggling of late.
Hard hit ball up the middle. Rollins has it on 3 hops, high throw, but nails Robinson, who runs well.
Chad has made a lot of appearances, most appearances among major league relievers over the last 8 years, 529 coming to this game. You see 18 games, 12 of them have been scoreless, and he got off to a great start. He allowed 3 hits the first 21 batters. He had 6 scoreless appearances, but of late he is a 7.36 ERA. Opponents are hitting .429 against him in his last 10 games.
Rafael Furcal hitting over 300 for a very long time. He's at 339 right now and looking for another multi-hit game. Mentioned he's already had 18 of those. He had a single in the 4th. And now I've had so many people ask me, and when I get back to the at bat for Shane Robinson, he comes in swinging at the first pitch, and there's a whole group of fans that have a general understanding that really frustrates them when a player will come up and swing at the first pitch, as in the case of Shane Robinson.
Especially when you're trailing.
Especially when you're trailing. What's your philosophy on that?
Well, I mean, for years our fans have listened to Jack Buck, who has always kind of recommended you take a pitch. But it goes back to the theory that people have today that, you know, maybe that first pitch is going to be the best one. They're trying to lollipop, get a first pitch strike. And if they get a strike, then they kind of work on you and you're hitting defensively. So I just know that the philosophy of today is that you go up there looking for the first pitch you can handle. And he did hit it hard. They just were defensively, they had, you know, Rollins in a position where he could make a nice play and throw him out. But a lot of people just believe that first pitch you see that's up over the middle of the plate, you swing at it. Your thoughts?
I agree with you, and I think I certainly understand the frustration. Now, if you get a base hit,
yeah,
it looks good. But if you make an out, it does add to the frustration level. So you certainly understand why folks think that.
And I think that I've said this before.
Ball hit hard to center field, but not hard enough.
That if you would really, over the course of a year, if you looked at first pitch, very few are really put in play. You know, most of the time you either take a strike or it's a ball, or if you swing at that first pitch, it's a very small percentage that go for base hits. And even at the major league level, if you are up there patient enough, not afraid, the good hitters aren't afraid to have two strikes.
Right, that's the other side.
And so if you see enough pitches, major league hitters, a pitcher is going to give you a pitch you can really do something with. Now, still, 3 out of 10 times, you're probably not going to, you know, you're not going to be able to have something productive.
You also think back to the great Jack Buck that you mentioned, and you know, we owe so much of what we know about the game for having listened to Jack over the years. And you think about the pitching staffs at that time typically would have either 4 or 5 relievers in the bullpen,
sure,
as opposed to 7. So part of working the count probably was as much taxing the bullpen and taxing the starting pitcher as anything else.
No doubt about it. You know, like you said, you'd have a 9 to 10 man staff. Now you got 12 or 13.
Easy inning for Chad Qualls. Great memories of that man. recap. Phillies scored early and often, 6 runs the first couple of innings. Plenty of base hits. Yadier Molina, 2-run home run in the 5th inning, got the Cardinals back even. Carlos Beltran with 3 hits. Plenty of hits in this game. Cardinals trailing by 2. And Victor Marte is the new Cardinal pitcher, and we've had a little bit of activity and shenanigans. A little bit of a disturbance between innings.
I'll let you describe what happened.
Well, we had a gentleman run on the field, which is a big-time no-no.
And he's going to pay a big fine. And a little time in jail.
And even more disturbing, he was not wearing any clothes. And all the guards were kind of afraid to grab him for a while.
At least he didn't get tased.
And he's going to wish he hadn't have done that.
Oh, yeah. And then he just did a little something that probably would be warranted resisting arrest. But we'll get back to baseball, and Marte will come into this game, and hopefully he can restore a little order. Phillies 9 runs on 14 hits, 1 error. They've left 10 men on, so it could be a lot worse. Cardinals have 7 runs on 10 hits, 1 error. They've left only 4. And we'll get back to baseball momentarily. I haven't seen that since the 70s.
No, it seems like it's been a long time.
That happened in Montreal one time during the 70s at the old Jerry Park, and they understood the security forces took him downtown Montreal and let him go right in the middle of downtown.
He probably would have preferred jail, which is where this guy's going.
And I saw it in Houston where it was a female. Marte appearing for the 21st time. Got the very good slider.
And we're just trying to recover here, aren't we, Al?
Oh, the things we could say.
You would not believe what's going through my brain right now. There's a Yogi Berra story I'll tell you later.
I've heard it.
One of Whitey Herzog's favorite stories.
Yeah.
1-1 to Polanco, who has 3 hits on the night. The Phillies have pounded out 14. Breaks his bat. Freeze ranges to his left. Nice play, out number 1. Fox Saturday Baseball. The Phillies and the Cardinals. Baseball Night in America, presented by Chevrolet, begins Saturday at 6 p.m. only on Fox.
Hunter Pence feels a little lonely. He didn't have a hit tonight.
Has scored 2 runs.
Good slider there. Marte throws hard, but it really kind of appears that it must be straight as how hard it's usually hit. It's been reliable for the Cardinals.
Another good slider. This one misses low and away. 1-1 to Pence. Marte, the 4th Cardinal pitcher. Westbrook did not fare well. Brandon Dixon gave up an unearned run. And a rough inning for Fernando Salas in the 6th inning, and he's a bit of an enigma, Fernando Salas.
Yeah, I got to get Salas straightened out, because Salas led the ball club last year with 24 saves, and this year it's been kind of a struggle with his control, and then when he throws strikes, he's giving up a lot of hits.
pitch for Marte on the corner. 2 outs for Philadelphia in the 7th. The delivery of Victor Marte.
It just seems like so many of the Latin American pitchers kind of sling the ball up there. Got on top a little more than what you classify really as slinging the ball, but
clearly has a live arm.
Sure, and has that ability to, bounce back, pitch multiple days. Look like they're looking for the fastball and kind of sitting on the fastball, taking the slider.
Kind of has that throwback slider where he just kind of rears back and fires it. Not as hard as his fastball, but he really lets it go. It's really a short, sharp break. So many guys now throwing cutters, but this is more of a classic slider from Marte.
What I call the slurve.
What Ruiz calls tough to hit. Time to stretch. Cardinals trail by 2. Many wonderful statues outside of Busch Stadium. Time for our AT&T trivia question. Who was the last Cardinal pitcher to throw a 1-0 shutout in a regular season game?
I know it.
You know a lot, Al.
About 10 innings for Mark Mulder.
I know it now. Reminds us of another 1-0 game, and this one was in Game 5 of the NLDS.
That's
Skip
it.
Schumacher delivering.
That's it. That's the scoring. First inning. And Chris Carpenter did the rest. As he took charge of that ball game, and that to me was a
that was an awesome
game.
Game
6 was a little sloppy early in that game. I think there's 5 combined errors in the World Series, but then it had the great finish.
Right.
But that
was just
right there
baseball.
was just a great classic battle between two great pitchers that trying to push their teams forward. Carpenter wins.
We almost got Charlie Manuel to say that was a great game. I think he was kind of agreeing with that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was fun to watch.
Because I talked to him about it a little bit, and like he said, it's like, hey, that's baseball.
Exactly.
We were going to play to win. You guys beat us, fair and square. It's the way it's supposed to be. You know, just a classic battle between two good clubs and two excellent managers. You told me you played for Charlie at the end of your career.
He was my last manager. Told me the last week of the season, he said, hey, why don't you go hit infield? And I thought, oh, that's really nice. Charlie thinks I'm a leader on this club. I realized later that he was trying to get me to become a coach.
That was kind of George Kissel kind of told Tony La Russa, you know, you ought to think about getting involved on the management side. It's kind of a nice way of saying your career's over.
I love Charlie. Done a nice job. Did a nice job in Cleveland, for that matter.
Yeah.
There's a strike on the corner. Holiday doesn't like it.
Oh, is this a strike early in the game? Should have been.
4 straight outs for Chad Qualls. The 1-2-3 6th inning, facing the middle of the Cardinals order here in the 7th. They did some damage the last time we went through this part of the order. A Holiday home run, a Beltran double, and a Molina home run. $40,135 here tonight. And if they like offense, they've come to the right place. Hard hit ground ball. Out number 2.
And Rollins up the middle again. And really a couple steps to his left to make that play. Score 7 runs, you're supposed to win ball games. And the Phillies have done something else that usually means you win a ball game. That's scoring in 4 innings.
This ball hit hard and deep and long enough. David Freese homers in the 7th.
Two extra base hits tonight, an RBI double. Now he hits his 10th home run. RBI total up to 33, and it's a 1-run game.
And
the Gauntlet.
The receiving line.
The Gauntlet. Here's a receiving line, a hanging breaking ball, and he hit this one better than 2/3 the way up. In the outfield, no doubt about this one. Look at the flight of the ball.
Chance of Yachty.
Two outs again. Now, young people say that this is a fun game, all this scoring. To me, it's not enjoyable. It will become if the Cardinals take the lead, and we're going to do it against a new pitcher. Got one of their lefties.
Manuel to the mound. Qualls to the bench. Freeze. Home run number 10. Cardinals trail by 1. First inning of this game, he was hot at the time, but he becomes our Schnucks difference maker, Yadier Molina. 3 for 4. His 6th home run.
Jake Diekman comes in here. They've talked about this young guy as really throwing the ball well. He's got 10 strikeouts in 4 2/3 innings with the Phillies. He was recalled from AAA on May the 11th. He was drafted by the Phillies in 2007, 30th round. Had one bad outing in Chicago. Gave up 4 runs in 2/3 of an inning. His other 3 appearances have been scoreless, and they like what they've seen from him.
Matt Adams showing that he's human tonight. 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts.
Usually that happens, somebody turns him loose. So you can see how he'd be tough on a lefty. Is kind of a sidewinder, and really looks like to a left-handed hitter that he releases that ball behind their back.
You would think long-term, if Matt Adams, or when Matt Adams becomes the Cardinals' first baseman of the future, he's going to play against lefties, he's going to play against righties.
Absolutely.
So why not throw him into it?
Absolutely. And right now, until Alan Craig comes back, you know, you're almost forced to do it.
Adams bounces out, but Yadier Molina. 3 hits on the night. Cardinals trail by 1. Fox Sports Midwest. Let's go to the studio with our Bomberito Sports Update. Pat Paris with news from Cleveland. Pat. Thanks, Pat. Speaking of Lake Erie, I think David Freese's home run almost made it to Lake Erie.
Second longest in this new stadium.
We knew it was a long way, but
yeah.
456 feet. That was a blast. And that came in the Cardinals' 7th. They now trail by a run. Top of the 8th. Marte back to work. Victorino, Wigginton, and Mayberry.
One of these games where you're thankful you're the home team and get to hit last.
Seeing Matt Holliday catch that ball makes me think that this was like a Coors Field game where when it was over, you were exhausted. You didn't know who won or lost. You just, if you could get 9 bodies to walk off the field, you were okay.
And that's what you were communicating about, this being not your classic kind of baseball game. You're talking about a 3-2 game where you bunt and hit and run and all that, the classic decisions. This is just, hey, let's just see who can outlast the other guy.
Who survives?
Right. Four straight retired by Marte.
Well, he has them up there guessing. Thought last inning they were looking for the fastball, and then Wigginton lets the fastball get by him like he's looking for the slider. I don't understand when people go up looking for breaking ball. Unless it's a hanger, they're just going to pound it in the ground. And usually if you're looking for a breaking ball, you can't catch up to the fastball.
Classic theory. George Kissel isn't.
Until you get 2 strikes, then you have to just protect and foul off good pitches and wait for a mistake pitch and then try to do something with it.
Hard hit to center field. Robinson back. He's going to run out of room, and this ball is way out of here. Home run to center field for Ty Wigginton, and we have seen some pop, and we have seen the ball fly here tonight.
Wigginton's never going to hit for that high average, but he does have the ability to hit a ball out of the ballpark. And looked like he was looking for one pitch, and he finally got it. Looking for that fastball, and there's a high fastball that when we talk about a lot of times with Marte, it must be straight because he gets hit hard.
So he was not looking for the local, he was looking for the express. That one just 422 feet is all.
Kind of the same as Freeze's, though. Now it's back to a 2-run game.
Cardinals have been taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back since the 3rd inning. Tied the game at 7 after 5 innings of play. Salas gave up 2 in the 6th, and now Marte 1 in the 8th. Good slider. 3 strikeouts for Marte. Sunday, June 10th. Kids ages 15 and younger entering with a ticket can collect a lunch cooler bag, compliments of Powerade and Shop and Save. It's the perfect way to kick off your summer. Get your tickets at Cardinals.com. A lot of nice views in this ballpark. Not a bad seat in the house. I kind of like ours, Al.
I definitely like ours. Great sight lines. Any seat you have, you're right. You have a good view of the field.
Nice view of downtown. This ball hit hard in the gap. Beltran is not going to get it. To the wall. And another hit for Galvis. That's his 3rd of the night.
3rd hit of the night for him. They've got 16 against Cardinal pitching. Pete Orr is going to pinch hit, but here's the double by Galvis. And another fastball, but little guy just plugged out there. He's had a pretty good night himself, especially for an 8th place hitter.
Sure has. 3 RBIs. Pete Orr. Bounced around a bit.
It's always bounced into the Eastern Division, though.
Batting with 2 outs. Talked about the disabled list of the Phillies, and we mentioned Howard Nutley and a couple pitchers, but they also have Michael Martinez, Lance Nix, Jim Thome all out. So they've had to remake their bench from what their expectation was in the beginning of the year. Or came up with the Atlanta Braves, has also played with Washington. And a ground ball. Nice play by Adams. And he can't find the handle. And the Cardinals may be lucky that Galvis didn't keep running.
Right. Adams did the tough part, is ranging far to his right, spearing the ball. Then when he tried to get up to his knees, he just lost the handle of it. So looked like he was going to take a hit away. Now the hit's back. 17th hit. And Mike Matheny's going to do a double switch.
Adams made a nice stab, couldn't come up with the play. Matheny going over the paperwork. And Mitchell Boggs heads to the hill. They trail by 2, the most hits they've given up all season long. Previous high was on the 14th of May, where they gave up 15 hits against the Cubs. Mitchell Boggs is now pitcher number 5 for St. Louis.
Pretty good numbers, but he's got off to a real good start. They kind of hit a wall. He's made 3 scoreless appearances since then.
Really have to stop the bleeding here, don't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The Phillies have scored in 5 innings, and usually when you score in 4 separate innings, you're going to win. Then you mix in a couple crooked numbers in those 5. And the Cardinals are trying to keep pace.
A couple of pitches at 95. Runs the count to 1-1 to Jimmy Rollins, who's 2 for 5 on the night.
Nobody's really pitched inside. They've got 17 hits. Everyone runs to the plate.
Fly ball to left. Boggs does his job. Brought to you by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. By Taco Bell, Live Moss. And by the State of Missouri Tobacco Quit Line. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Our beautiful courthouse. Downtown St. Louis. Turned into a very nice night for baseball. Cardinals trailing by 2 in the bottom of the 8th inning, and Stephen Hill came on with the double switch, and just up from AAA Memphis, replacing Matt Carpenter, leads it off against Antonio Bastardo.
Bastardo, a big strikeout pitcher for the Phillies. He had 70 strikeouts in 58 innings last year. He has allowed 1 hit in his last 28 batters. He's 26 years of age. He's one of those 4 left-handers down there in the bullpen.
Stephen Hill came up last year for the Cardinals and had a thrill. First major league home run. Actually 2 years ago. And that's his lone major league hit right now.
Not anymore.
Stephen Hill gets things going for the Cardinals in the 8th.
It's very important to have a good 8th inning. Hopefully take a lead. Stephen Hill's got a little pop in his bat, fastball up away, and he does a good job to shoot it to right center. Extra bases with the double.
And it's one thing that Stephen Hill and Tony Cruz both give you as the second and third catchers is they have a little flexibility. Hill playing first base now as part of the double switch. We know Tony Cruz can play third, first. And
both play corner outfielders if they had to.
And nice to have that in backup of Yadier Molina. Shane Robinson bounced out in the 6th. Cardinals still have Descalso, Chambers, and Cruz on their bench. And they're running out of relievers. The 0-1.
Mentioned earlier in this season, the Phillies bullpen was a real problem. But over the last 6 games, they had posted a 1.23 ERA. Matter of fact, over the last 9 innings pitched by the bullpen, only 4 opposing batters have reached base. So Charlie's seen a little dent, but he's gotten plenty of offense, and they still have a 2-run lead.
Big gap in left center for Shane Robinson against the lefty Bastardo. 0-2. Swing and a miss. There's the strikeout you mentioned for Bastardo. Very good left-handed pitcher.
One thing about if the Phillies have a lead after 8 innings, they have not lost a game. But if you can get on top of them late, they don't come back.
Leadoff double for Hill. A strikeout to Robinson, and for call 1 for 4. Steps to the plate, batting from the right side. Ground ball, base hit to left. Hill had to hold up. He'll make it to third. Probably would not have scored anyway.
Another multi-hit game for call, but that ball going there, you have to make sure that you're going to see it into the outfield before you advance. And like I said, a run would get you one run closer, but you have to be able to walk home.
An important at-bat here for Skip Schumacher.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough assignment. for Schumacher, but you know he'll battle.
See the numbers on Skip. 533 with runners in scoring position.
The only right-handed bat you have left on the bench is Tony Cruz.
I don't know when that stat started to be tracked the way it does, but the risk of the runner in scoring position, I think, is an extremely important statistic. What do you do when your team needs you?
Call kind of dancing, trying to distract Stardo, but he's got ahead of Skip now, 0-2. We've heard the term a soft 300, kind of going along with what you say. You know, you hit 300, but you never get a hit when your team needs one.
Exactly.
And Skip has that high average with runners in scoring position. That's a real plus.
Down in the count now, 0-2. Cardinals have beaten the Phillies 12 of the last 18 times they've played them, including postseason. Trailing here in game 1 of this 4-game series.
Stardo almost taking so much time. Surprising Skip doesn't call time. Kind of get in that batter's box, you get ready, you want to get ready to swing, and he's just making you sit there and tighten up. Also kind of takes a little bit of the spring out of the legs of a base stealer, but
Call has 8 steals. And Skip does exactly what you mentioned. He calls timeout before the flinch. So no balk. Bob Davidson left town yesterday anyway.
Oh yeah, he would have found a balk in that one.
He may be calling it wherever he went. He may be watching it right now. Loves to call the balks. But Schumacher did ask for time, and it was granted by Rob Drake, the home plate umpire. I'm kind of thankful there hasn't been more of a blow-up with him after the way this game started.
Yeah, and Molina started jawing at each other, and they had a history of an eruption last season. Like the way Skip just looked at that ball in the dirt.
What do you think about Rafael Furcal taking off here?
If he can get a jump, and you know he's an experienced base stealer, over 300 steals. Stardo really has paid a lot of attention to him. You watch how he will lift that leg straight up, so it gives him that ability to go to first.
Not going.
But I think he's paying so much attention to Furcal that he's kind of not having the full concentration on the plate. So it's a 3-2 pitch. Skip usually, you can depend on him to swing at strikes and strikes only.
There goes Furcal. His ball hit into the outfield.
Run come in.
Tagging up is Hill. He'll score easily. And Skip Schumacher delivers an RBI sacrifice fly. His 12th RBI of the season.
Good at bat when he was down 0-2. Battled back to a 3-2 count. And then delivered the sac fly, making it a 10-9 ball game.
Holiday, a home run to his credit here tonight, and a walk. Couple of RBIs. One came on an infield ground out. Chance for damage here. The call represents the tying run. Cardinals batting in the bottom of the 8th. Holiday at the plate represents the go-ahead run.
He's faced this pitcher one time and he walked. Matt didn't like that call. And let's see what Foxtrax says about that one. Not close. Lucky it's only strike one.
If Holiday can reach, it'll be Carlos Beltran.
See, they're pretty deep. Tying runs on first base, but they don't want anything over their head unless it's a home run. They don't want that either. Pitch there, you just got to take it to the opposite field.
2-2.
A Cardinal sin to run that count. 2 outs, 3-2. Then that runner's going to be going. So now you hit one in the gap. We got a tie game.
The 3-2.
Game looks so simple from here, but things that kind of like when you're pitching, but you really now you kind of kick yourself and say, why did I ever walk anybody? Why did I ever run a 3-2 count with 2 men on? Open up a big inning.
He really had a chance to put away Schumacher and couldn't do it. Now he faces Beltran. 3 hits already for Carlos.
Now the outfield has to come in to try and cut off the tying run with the National League's leading home run hitter. It's 0 for 1. Beltran facing this pitcher.
.31 hits in this game. The Phillies have left 12. The Cardinals just 5. Beltran with 2 outs. And David Freese would bat next. Like to see another one of those 3-2 counts out?
Yeah, just love to see it.
Cardinals have been patient with the startup. 2 runners aboard. The home half of the 8th.
Contreras warming up.
The pitch.
Cardinals need to win this game to stay in first place. Cincinnati has already won.
Very lively crowd here tonight. And I think that was true even before we had our streaker.
It did kind of put a little buzz in the air, but 2 outs, runners in scoring position. Unbelievable.
Swing and a miss. He strikes out Beltran. So the Cardinals strand 2 in the 8th. They do get the run back, however. Go to the 9th, trailing by 1.
On the post-game edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, Pat Paris and Lil Dunk are at Lumiere Place. They'll break down Jake Westbrook's night. An interesting night for Yadier Molina. They'll look at that. We'll have Mike Matheny's post-game thoughts as well. Carlos Beltran had a golden opportunity. It wasn't to be. We go back to the booth and Rick and Al, guys.
Well, all you can ask is to bring up your best hitter with the game on the line. Beltran swings over the top of a slider, and the fastball running inside, ball 1. Try to repeat it, ball 2. Fastball, he misses, fouls off. Then he goes back with another slider, and then on a 3-2 pitch, he strikes him out on a slider. So 2 strikeouts, and had the opportunity, but this game, right now, Boggs has to keep it a 1-run game, and then you're going to have to battle Papelbon.
Still feels like it's long from over.
It really does. Papelbon is second in the National League with 12 saves.
He is getting ready in the Phillies bullpen. Mitchell Boggs throwing very hard tonight. Fastball 94, 95.
And with sinking action.
Polanco at the plate. He lines this one to right. Carlos has it.
Mentioned Boggs had 3 scoreless appearances. This would be a confidence booster. Get his 4th one. Game like this, a lot of times you just don't want to pitch because it doesn't matter who's out there. They're going to get hurt. They're going to get hurt, and I mean hurt by hits and run scoring, not physically.
But we know, Al, that those runs scored against you hurt more than the physical hurt does.
They do.
Cardinals have been in first place since April 4th. They beat Miami to open their new stadium. Kyle Loesch won that game. He beat Josh Johnson.
It was the first game of Major League. Well, I can't say that because they had the games in Japan. But first game in the National League, first game in North America.
Cardinals jumped out to a half-game lead because that was the only game being played, at least in their division, and have not looked back since. had their rough patches.
Well, we all know it's where you end up. Final day of the season. So it doesn't matter if it's how you got there like last year. You win the wild card on the last day of the year.
Are you advocating being 10.5 games out in August?
No.
I'm not sure we could take that again.
I don't think we're going to be 10.5 games up either.
I would agree.
And I would imagine that I kind of thought it was going to be a 3-team race, but Milwaukee really is having their problems.
Not only their problems, but injuries too. I think they have injuries to some key players.
Well, everybody does.
Right.
And if no one ever is going to use that as a valid excuse, because everybody has to contend with injuries, but it's how do you cope with them?
Cardinals trailing by a run. Mitchell Boggs facing Ruiz in the top of the ninth, trying to keep this a one-run game. Line drive to right. Beltran barehands it as he runs it down.
I didn't like the way
the corner.
I didn't like the way he, from an injury standpoint, as he fielded that ball, and then it almost looked like his knee could possibly locked up. Watch right here, as he has to reach back behind, and then you see that action. For somebody that has some knee problem, that didn't look real comfortable, but he appears to be okay.
Very athletic movement for Beltran, and
graceful once again.
Keeps Ruiz from being in scoring position. And he is. He's an elegant player. Good work. Line drive to left. On the run is Holiday. Sliding grab. Nice play by the Cardinal left fielder. Cardinals down to their final chance. Freeze, Molina. When we come back. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Jonathan Papelbon, former Boston Red Sox closer, 6 straight years of 30 or more saves. And he inherits a 1-run lead, and he will face David Freese, Yadier Molina, and a pinch hitter here in the bottom of the ninth.
He's second in the National League with 12 saves, 1 away from Kimbrel. So successful conversion. He would tie for the league lead. The more I hear about him, the more I think he should be left-handed. Papelbon talks in the third person. He is Cinco Ocho. That's what he calls himself.
Oh boy.
Cinco Ocho. He wears 58. And translate that, it's 58. Cinco, 5, Ocho, 8. And that's how he describes himself.
Sounds a little like Nigel Morgan. Having a...
And the opposite of Ocho Cinco.
Swing and a miss. High, hard fastball at 93.
But you know, he throws 93, 94, and it looks like it's 4 or 5 miles an hour faster.
Agreed. How do you beat a closer, Al?
You let him beat himself. You know, you just have to go out there, be confident, just stay within yourself. I mean, he throws hard enough, but the way his motion is, he hides the ball well. So as a hitter, the ball is released and you pick it up 4 or 5 feet out in front of him, and that just cuts down that decision time. He's got a lot of confidence in himself, and when you think about it, you know, you've got 3 out of every 10 hitters are going to get a hit off him. He probably wanted that, but it appeared to be low. And if you're being a closer, and today's definition, you're only going to face a guy one time, and really don't get a good read on him. One time a night.
1-2 to Freese. Papelbon is just 31 years of age. He got to the big leagues in a hurry after his college days at Mississippi State. He was a starter in the minor leagues, and they figured out over in Boston that this guy would be a pretty good reliever, and he has certainly been that.
Early in the career, wasn't that part of the, you know, didn't know what to do with him. You know, was he going to be a starter, or should they put him in the rotation, keep him in the bullpen? I think it's worked out all right for him. And I believe the contract he signed, it makes him the highest paid reliever in history. Hard to think that Rivera wouldn't be up there.
He has his sign. 2-2 to David Freese. 3-2.
This is how you do beat him. You know, is work the count, see enough pitches, and then you do become more comfortable facing him. And remember, leadoff walks spell disaster.
Ground ball hit hard, handled by Galvis. Throws out David Freese. Good at bat there, but does not produce.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, it's like he worked the count, he hit the ball hard, but yet, you know, most of the time, the percentages, you're going to get hitters out.
Freddie Galvis is our Budweiser player of the game. A 3-hit night for him, 3 RBIs. Played good, solid defense. Yadier Molina has 3 hits of his own. Now he has 4. And the Cardinals have Adrian Chambers on their bench.
How about the 2 catchers in this contest tonight to put on a pretty good offensive display? Freese has 3 hits, and reach base by hit by pitch. Yachty has 4 hits right through the legs of Papelbon. Yachty has 3 RBIs, and I would say he didn't put himself in a good fielding position. And there's what you're talking about. Pinch running for Yachty or Molina with Adron Chambers. Ready for extra innings?
I'm ready. Daniel Descalzo at the plate.
But a game winner.
Even better. Descalzo has had some pinch hits close and late in his career. Chambers, the runner at first base now, represents the tying run.
Last year, Descalzo was second best in the National League in late and close games, his average. Boy, you can tell Papelbon, you know, is like a lot of closers, very slow to the plate with his motion, and Chambers thought about running, and he really sacrificed a lot. When he went to plate, he didn't have the same effort at all.
Nice lead for Chambers. So many good moments in the Cardinals season last year in 2011, and one of those moments was Adron Chambers scampering across home plate against the Cubs. And he became an electric member of that Cardinal team. As the big lead not going. Ball 3 to Descalzo. 3-1.
No Cardinal, even including the guys on the disabled list, have ever gotten a hit off the Papelbon. Only Berkman with 2 at-bats, Holiday 2, Molina with 1, and Schumacher with 1. No hits. Well, Yachty does now. 1 for 2.
And Chambers running for him. 3-1. Papelbon to Descalzo.
That time he varied his looks, trying to deceive the runner, but he had a much better delivery to the plate. It's a much slower.
Do you run Chambers here? 3-2.
And the strikeout pitcher, it's hard to do.
We'll see what Mike Matheny does. Same lead. 3-2. Not going. Swing and a miss. Belt high fastball.
Yeah.
And there's that sneaky delivery, the ball jumping on Daniel Descalzo, who's a good fastball hitter.
Good fastball hitter, but it looked like he actually swung below the ball.
Stephen Hill.
Home run Hill. Home run his first major league at bat a couple years ago.
And a double in his first at bat here tonight. That ball is hit to center field, but it's going to stay in the ballpark. Well hit by Hill. Papelbon closes it out. 19 runs in this game, 33 hits, but the Phillies prevail.
Now, anytime you score 9 runs and bang out 15 hits, you should win a ball game, but wasn't the case here. They just a little too much offense. Neither starter was very good tonight.
Cardinals drop to second place in the Central. They lose game 1 of the 4-game series. Post game is coming up next.